Candles are being lit, hymns are being sung, and there's a warmth in the air. It can only mean one thing: Christmas. No! Sanguinala has begun. You see what we did there? We did the same thing as Nurgle's November. This entire month, we are dedicating the channel to the legacy of Sanguinius, the Blood Angels, and Space Marines in general. Every lore video, every terrain build, and every episode of the Greater Wog will honor the angel, his sacrifice, and the chapter that carries his light into the darkest corners of the Imperium. If you have any ideas, questions, or requests for Sanguinala, drop them in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe as we celebrate hope, heroism, and the eternal grace of the great angel. Now, when people across the Imperium of Man light candles during Sanguinala, they are evoking the hope of a sacrifice that kept mankind alive during its darkest day. A sacrifice of a true child of a god, the angel Sanguinius. While the Emperor is worshipped, he is distant, unknowable, and wrapped in myth by the ecclesiarchy. Sanguinius, however, feels for humanity, compassionate, merciful, burdened yet unbroken. For the common citizen during Sanguinala, Sanguinius is remembered not just as a primarch, but as hope itself. And this was the case even in the beginning. Let's explore his origin. After forging 20 of his godlike children known as the primarchs, the great labor of the Emperor of Mankind was thwarted by the Chaos Gods when they assaulted the laboratories on Terra. They stole the gestation capsules of the future leaders of the Emperor's Great Crusade. The primarchs were cast off from the Immaterium and scattered all throughout the galaxy. In the Segmentum Ultima, a fiery comet crash-landed on the moon of Baal Secundus. This entire region was a radioactive desert. The scarring of the moon's crust hid the enormous crater caused by the capsule holding the young Primarch Sanguinius, the destined leader of the 9th Legion, the Blood Angels. Unbeknownst to the godlike being that emerged from the capsule, the moon he had landed on was once considered a paradise world where the ancient human colonists of the Dark Age of technology lived in harmony with nature. But much like many of the other ancient human-colonized utopias, the era known as the Age of Strife disconnected the entire region from Terra and led to a catastrophic civil war that consumed Baal Secundus and turned it into an ionized radioactive wasteland. The young Primarch had come to rest on a hellish environment where the cannibalistic mutant abominations outnumbered the few pure-strain humans who had been fighting a long and fruitless war for survival. These inhabitants were lucky enough to have retained the standard template construct to the armor that resembled that of the future Terran Crusade, as well as a more primitive version of a bolt pistol. Left on their own by the rest of the region, these people cherished the weapons and tools left over from that bygone era. It was these brave and resilient warrior people that discovered the infant, calling themselves the folk of pure blood or simply the Blood. At first, the Blood saw the Primarch as a mutant sent from the heavens. His body was altered, and tiny wings, like those of ancient Terran myths' angels, were sprouting from his back. But unlike the mutants that the tribes were familiar with, Sanguinius appeared like a true angelic child, with almost no imperfections or reason to fear. There was an aura of calming and inspiration that flowed through the child, and the compassion of the Blood finally prevailed, sparing the child's life. Sanguinius was taken in by the Blood, and they quickly realized the superiority of the young Primarch. Like the rest of the sons of the Emperor, Sanguinius grew to maturity faster than a normal human. After only 3 solar weeks, he was as large as a child of 3 Terran years, and he could walk. It is said that at this young age he slew a giant fire scorpion with his bare hands, and that he never once feared the colossal beast's aggression. By the time he was a standard year old, Sanguinius looked and acted like a man in his youthful prime. He could walk without a radiation suit in the harshest areas of the poison wastelands. His wings also matured into enormous, angelic white-feathered wings that allowed the Primarch to fly up and above the rest of the Blood, blocking out the intense desert sun for his people. His wings became as strong as those of the Imperial Aquila, and not even the scorching desert air could stop Sanguinius from flying. Sanguinius grew into a towering yet noble warrior. Standing at double the size of a man, his armor had to be custom-made from the relics of the Dark Age of technology, using the skills passed down by the ancient artisans of Baal Secundus. Soon the long blonde-haired angel flying over the ash waste in his golden armor became a beloved sight and a reminder of his protection. The location of Sanguinius' crash landing was renamed the Angel's Fall, a place that would become holy to all the people of Baal. The godlike charisma and physique of the Primarch didn't stop the Blood from teaching him all that they could, but Sanguinius quickly outgrew his adoptive parents' knowledge. In the use of weapons, he soon excelled his teachers. He could smash a path through a rockfall with the blade of his hand, best wild animals but with a glance, and soar high into the sky on his mighty wings to observe the land below from the perspective of a god. Pretty soon the Primarch's tribe became students to the wisdom and guidance of this demigod. When a wandering band of feral mutants ambushed his tribe, Sanguinius slew them all single-handedly, although they numbered over 100. This was the first time that the members of the Blood had ever seen the angel truly angry, for he felt his comrades' lives were in danger. When the blood rage overtook him, it was as if nothing could calm his anger. It was the full power of the Primarch that came upon him, and a nimbus of light played about his head. Sanguinius distinguished himself in the fateful years that followed. He soon rose to the pinnacle of the primitive society present on Baal Secundus, and under his leadership, the pure-blooded Baalite tribes united against the infestation of mutants that had for so long plagued the radioactive waste of Baal. With his angelic leadership coupled with his total mastery of physical combat, the tribes drove back the tide of mutant filth that threatened humanity's hold upon the poison world. Under Sanguinius' direction, mankind earned another chance to build civilization upon Baal Secundus. In time, as a result of his accomplishments, Sanguinius was inevitably worshipped as a god by the humans of Baal. They felt like they owed him so much. They were convinced that paradise would follow in the crimson footsteps of the angel. Yet it was shortly thereafter that fate intervened with the arrival of the Emperor of Mankind. And that's the origin of the Primarch Sanguinius. So when you ask yourself, how did the Imperium basically turn the winter solstice on old Earth into Sanguinala? It is because of Sanguinius and his glory and compassion to humanity. I know you guys will subscribe, and we will talk tomorrow. This is Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first.